Hey, The Muffin Show here, and I have a bit of a special video. Today is my birthday, woo! And so I wanted to make a video on how I would rebalance some of the pets in Super Owl Pets from the Unicorn Pack. Now, fortunately for the entirety of the Super Owl Pets community, but unfortunately for this video concept, Teamwood Games released balance changes yesterday. So if you're watching this the day it comes out, these pets have already been rebalanced. Fortunately, I think it's still quite interesting to look at what my ideas were going into this versus what Teamwood actually changed them, as well as one of the pets that I propose a change for at the end has not been touched by Teamwood Games. So without getting into any other preamble, let's go ahead and go into what I believe would be good changes and see how that compares to the changes Teamwood actually made. So the first one was the vampire bat. This is the pet that I wanted to take essentially a different direction. I think the pet designed as is problematic. It's an interesting design, but I don't think it's very healthy for the game. I wanted to keep the element aspect of it. So you can see here, the main change is instead of when enemies gain element doing something, I wanted to redesign it to be when it gets an element, it gives that element to a random enemy and then it jumps back one space. And so how many times it can do that ability depends on its level. This is intended for two reasons. It still synergizes with elements, but now it's more of putting it behind a visitor, and then it's exposed. So now you're exposing two pets. And then it jumps back, which means that now it can become a powerful stat pet for jump builds, which were going into the balance changes were really underpowered and really difficult to pull off. And so this would essentially shift it away from from a sniper build to it still works with elements, it still synergizes with them, but now it also ties in jump builds to make for more interesting situations. And then I just adjusted its stats to be more base level for scaling. Now, if we compare this to what Teamwood actually changed it to, they changed it to, first they bumped it up in tier, and then they made it so that it can only trigger twice per battle. I'm just gonna say it, they killed the vampire bat. Changing its ability to trigger only twice makes it not that good. Its best case scenarios being used with visitors still, but it's not that good, and certainly not good enough to warrant being bumped to tier 5. The vampire bat going forwards, it's a dead pet. I'm biased because I came up with this idea, but I like my version a little better because I think it's still a playable pet, and I think I'm okay with vampire bat not being a meta pet, but it's kind of sad to see them kill our toxic little boy here. Alright, the second pet was Cyclops. My idea for how to change it is actually very similar to what Teamwood Games ended up doing. Kept it at tier 4, and two changes. I was thinking to limit it to 2 times per turn. Teamwood Games limited it to 1 time per turn. I think that's a fair change. I wanted to put it at 2 times per turn because even though it's still very strong, being able to trigger twice per turn, I like Cyclops enough. It needed to be scaled back, but I can understand them wanting to scale it back more. They kept the original stats, but because I was limiting down, and 2 times per turn is still really good. I wanted to also decrease the stats to 3 attack and 4 health, but not a huge change, so, a huge change from its original version, but pretty similar to how Teamwood Game decided to go about it. So third up, we have Nessie. So Teamwood Games, 1 second, let me just flip to the right page on my phone for where is Nessie? Where is it? I know it's here somewhere. Oh, there it is. So my idea for changing Nessie was 1, bumping it from tier 5 to tier 6. I think it has a very strong ability that it should be at tier 6. And then for stats, I wanted to adjust the attack down to 1 attack, 2 health for each roll, and then I limiting it to 8 rolls per turn. And then, because this is quite a bit weaker from its current version, I wanted to buff its stats, and so I thought the easiest way to do that would be just to bump its attack from 2 to 6. So how does this compare to what Teamwood Games did? So Teamwood Games also increased the stats. I just got it backwards, where they increased it from 2-4 to 4-6. I had 6-4, so that's kind of funny. They nerfed its ability the same way I was thinking, 1 attack and 2 health, so we kind of thought the same thing. They limited the roll more, only 7 rolls. I thought 8. But Nessie, they left Nessie at tier 5, which I think is... I'm disappointed. I really think Nessie should be a tier 6 pet. I think Nessie is still really strong and is still going to be a very annoying pet to have to deal with, especially if you play with a custom pack, but still in the unicorn pack. Fourth pet is Mana Hound. This was one that I think it's pretty clear that this pet needed some sort of nerf. How I was thinking of nerfing it is a few ways. The first was introducing a trigger limit, so I was thinking 6, and then to also make it just a little harder to just stack a bunch of mana on one pet, I wanted it to be when it leveled up, it gave multiple friends ahead mana, instead of just one friend with multiples of mana. And then I still thought it was pretty good at that, so I wanted to just nerf its health slightly as an extra little balance. So compared to how Teamwood Games, that's what I mean by they, changed it, they didn't change any of the stats or tier level, which makes sense. They limited it to 5 rolls, but didn't change the pets effect. So essentially the same idea. I think this was a pretty obvious nerf to introduce, is just the exact number. I would like to see it affect more friends upon level up rather than being able to easily stack up a bunch of mana on one pet. I think that's an element that would have been... I would have liked to see it. And lastly, this is a pet that they did not touch. This is the last pet that I'm going to be talking about today. It's from the customs only. It's the Cockatrice. They didn't change any of the custom-only pets, I don't think. Yeah, I don't think they made any balance changes to those, besides fixing abilities not triggering correctly. This is actually one pet that I think needs a buff. I think all the pets introduced in the Unicorn Pack, it is the worst pet. Second worst pet is probably Unicorn, which is kind of funny because it's the symbol for the pack, but Unicorn really sucks. They did buff Unicorn, which it desperately needed, so it might be decent now. But anyway, talking about the Cockatrice, why does it suck? Its ability to transform back most enemy to rock, it's just very finicky, and having to get to level 3 so it can turn one level 3 enemy to rock, which might be good, it's terrible. Most of the time, even at level 3, it's worse than having a level 1 crocodile, which is a tier 5 pet. So it is atrociously bad. So how I think you could buff it without it being broken is at start of battle, it transforms all other pets within one space to rock. So this is similar wording to the Visitor, where it would turn, if you would have to put it in the front, and it would turn an equal number of your pets as your opponent's pets to rock. I think this is a good way to balance it. I did bump its stats down so that, most importantly, it has low attack, so that it's not, you have to really buff its attack up in order for it to counter start of battle pets, but it's more of a way to counteract effects that trigger during combat rather than just at the start. I think this is a balanced way. I would like to see this pet get a buff and actually be a viable pet in the game. So those are all the pets that I prepared this to go through. I would like to hear what your thoughts were on my ideas. It is a little unfortunate that I didn't get this out before the balance changes, but even so, I think it's interesting to discuss, and I would like to hear your thoughts. If you're interested, I might do a video going through all the balance changes and giving my thoughts. Regardless, thank you for watching this video. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you. Bye-bye.